What's shaking, everybody? My name is Ross Mandell. I'm coming to you live today from Delray Beach, Florida. I'm stunned. We got a guest. I've appeared on his podcast. He is my friend from Toronto, Canada. He's what you call a Bay Street guy, but he looks like he's a Hollywood dude today. Miami has taken hold of my brother, John McGuire, a.k.a. Johnny Durbano, man, from Abruzzi. John, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Ross?
I am great. And first and foremost, I want to say happy birthday.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Now, how old a guy are you? I've been trying to figure this out.
54.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. You're one more year and you're like grown up.
Well, it's like one more.
I grew up at like
right.
55. That's
Yeah,
my feeling.
yeah.
You know, I felt like I was in a prime. That's been downhill since. So I just want to say enjoy the run here. You look amazing.
Thank you.
Now, this is the first time we've met, correct? In person?
In person, yeah. You're on my podcast several months ago, and we had a really great episode, great conversation, good chat. And you invited me. You want to come down to Miami? Would love to have you on. So I called you up and said, "Hey, I'm going to be in Miami these days."
I love it.
And yeah, I'm really glad to be here. And I can't think of a better way to spend my birthday than being on the Ross Mandell show.
It's a great event. It's going to be memorable. Now, I'm a question. I know we were supposed to have dinner last night.
Yeah.
Your friend opened up a pretty hot restaurant, right?
Yeah, Maple and Ash in Miami.
Say it again, Maple?
Maple and Ash.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one in Chicago.
A little shout out, everybody. Maple and Ash in Miami, not too far from the arena, correct?
It's literally across the street from the arena.
What a great location.
Fantastic
He's paying big
location.
money.
Yeah.
Big money, boy.
Yeah, big, beautiful steakhouse. We're actually going to be there tonight for celebrating my birthday dinner there tonight.
So
and
great.
you are welcome to join us.
Thank you. If you heard my day today and what I had to go through last night, it makes me, I woke up today full of gratitude.
Yeah.
No matter what you're going through, there's somebody going through a lot worse.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I had to be there for somebody, and that was really, tough for me. I had to rearrange a lot of different things, as you know, and there's things you don't know. My whole weekend had to get reorganized, and it was a big weekend. It's in Miami, obviously, but now we got through it, and but my friend, unfortunately, did not get through it. He's still... He's in a world of hurt. But we're good, and that's where a lot of gratitude stems from. I always believe in giving back, serving, helping other people.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's part of why I do this podcast, to elevate others, to create a platform where I can find hidden value, like what we used to do in the financial world. Now let's just spin the clock back.
Yeah.
A young Johnny Durbano, right, decides to go. He's going to be a financial guy.
1999.
Tell us his story.
So I ended up, I was an entrepreneur and I had a business for several years and I ended up selling my business.
What kind of business?
It was a software company. So I was a distributor. So I used to sell back then all the gaming, a lot of educational, they call it edutainment and educational games.
I love it.
Yeah, I used to sell that to retail stores across Canada.
Oh, wow.
And I got a very good offer from a competitor to take over my business because they wanted my relationships with publishers. And I thought, hey, listen, I was 28 years old. I thought it was a good time to sell, so I sold.
Make a print, baby. Hit the
Right?
bid. Sometimes you got to take the offer, hit the bid, right?
Yeah. So I said, you know what? I'll take the offer and figure out what I'll do with my life. Maybe get into another business. At that time, I was living in a home with a roommate, and he was working for a company that was setting up POP sites, cellular POP sites. And back in the late '90s, cellular was really starting to take off.
Oh, yeah.
And he was working for a company that went public, and he says, you got to invest in the stock. He goes, I'm traveling across the U.S. and North America. We're setting up where every month we're doubling our billing minutes. You've got to invest in the stock. You know the stock world. I bought into stock, so I put $150,000. Now, after paying my expenses, I was probably left about $200,000 back in, I was 28, so back in, sometime in 1997, 99, 98.
From selling your company, you had
From selling my
little...
company, about $200,000. So, 28 years old with $200,000 back then, that was a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
So, everybody's always looking for that get rich quick scheme. And I thought, I'll put $150,000 into something that I had no knowledge of.
Right.
I didn't understand the stock market.
Correct.
I went based on a tip from a friend who worked for the company.
And it was well-meaning.
What do you mean?
Right.
Put $150,000 in. Things were going well. Ended up picking the stock up. And about a few months later, I remember him calling me saying, do you still own the company stock? I said, yeah. He goes, dump it as fast as you can. I've been let go. Half the staff has been let go. We found out that the CEO and the CFO, they've been cooking the books.
Fudging the numbers. Yeah.
So back then, there was no online trading.
No.
So I had to pick up a phone, call into the broker.
Execute a trade.
Execute. And he's like, the stock's been halted. And it was halted for over a week. It was trading at about $1 at the time that I had purchased it. It opened up at, I think it was 4 cents. 4 cents it opened up. And I lost everything.
Oh, what a terrible story, bro.
And
was it a CLEC? Remember the CLEC boom, Winstar Communications, WCI? I don't know.
No, it wasn't that. I can't remember the stock, but that was a very valuable and very expensive lesson.
There was a lot of that going on with these companies.
So I decided I'm not going to let this happen to me again. So I decided to do my securities course. Okay. And I wanted to understand how to read financial statements and get into understanding stocks. Not that you can never prevent CFOs then cooking the books. You just can't prevent that. I mean, look at WorldCom. I mean, there's
Enron. How about every single bank and insurance company in 08, 09? They're too big to fail.
Yeah.
Everything failed.
Yeah. So then I decided, I got my securities, and I was offered a position because of my entrepreneurial spirit, my experience, and me having the securities. I was offered a position in a bank as an advisor.
Okay.
So I did that for a couple of years, and then after a couple of years, I decided that this is not where I want to be. My own employer was my biggest competitor, so I decided to go out into the brokerage world, and that's when I became a Bay Street advisor in 2001, and I started building my book of business until 2016 when I sold my book of business and I left the brokerage world, and I started to then be more of a strategic advisor and do more planning on estate, trust, tax, and really starting to teach people how to really create wealth, not the banking way, but the more holistic and nurturing way.
Very interesting. And, for those of you that don't know, John wrote a book. The title, at first it's a great title, and it sort of says it all, right?
Yeah.
If you just read the title, you have an idea what we're talking about. It's called Wealth Without Wall Street. Let me have that book for a minute. I just want the audience to see. I have actually read the book, and it's a very courageous approach. And the guys on Wall Street would love to have you assassinated.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you changed your name because you're probably unwelcome on Bay Street right now. Now, Bay Street is the Canadian sort of term for Wall Street.
Yeah.
In London, they call it the city. That means that's the financial world. Wall Street, Bay Street, the city, etc. Wealth without Wall Street, how to gain financial freedom.
It's taking back control of your money in a rigged financial system because the system is rigged.
The system is entirely rigged.
Yeah.
And, I try not to be too much of that, but I was a big disruptor in America, and they locked me up for it.
Yeah.
Just so you know. And I used to speak like that.
Yeah.
But today is your story. So it's really important that we get to know you because I feel like, there's an expression, one picture is worth 1,000 words. Sophie, one picture of this man, these shoes are killing me. They're killing me. Not just the shoes, but the way they tie in with the rolled up sleeves and the whole thing. I mean, that's an expensive shirt.
This must be the Italian in me coming out, even though I'm not Italian.
That's a $300 shirt. Maybe more, potentially. I'm going with you. So we're rolling now.
Yeah.
So now, after you left the street, Bay Street, you actually started to strategically advise companies, I'm sure, individuals, etc. I also love the fade on the side. I'm taking it all in. Sophie, I was away for a minute, so now I appreciate everything I see. I'm like absorbing data and registering everything. And your whole thing, I mean, That's what a beautiful woman does. She does whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Camo pants and platform sneakers, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. When you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
So it's great to meet you finally and to hear all this story. So you're Johnny Durbano.
I was John Durbano.
Tell the story. This is a great story, everybody.
This is a really great story. Actually, this is like another book. So my whole life I grew up John Durbano,
Okay.
thinking I was Italian. My stepfather is Italian.
Okay. But you knew he was your stepfather, right?
I didn't know he was a stepfather. I did not know this man was my stepfather until last year,
You're 54.
54.
So when you were 53, you found out the man that's been your father your whole life
It's my stepfather.
is actually your stepfather.
Yeah.
Boy, your mom can keep a secret.
Apparently, Mom didn't know. Apparently, Mom didn't know.
Ah, a little 23andMe DNA testing or something.
That's exactly what happened. So a couple of years ago, my son, I was so passionate about being Italian, I named my son Michelangelo. And
now he's Mickey McGuire.
he's Mickey McGuire.
What the hell?
Mickey McGuire, yeah.
What? This is crazy.
I know. So I was sitting on a sofa a couple of years ago. I think it was around September 2022. My son says to me, Dad, I got something I want to tell you. I don't want you to get upset. He'd already consulted with my wife. I got something I want to tell Dad, but I know he's going to get upset because he's very passionate about being Italian.
Oh, my goodness. Abruzzi. He thinks he's from Abruzzi.
For my whole life I thought we were from Abruzzi, my
He's
background.
really from Glasgow.
Right. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And so Sophie says, my wife says, you need to tell him. So we're sitting on the sofa. He says, Dad, I got something I want to tell you. I just don't want you to get upset. I'm thinking, what could this possibly be? Just tell me. And he says, well, Mom, which is my ex-wife, did an ancestry, and I have no Italian in me. And I looked at my son. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking? Of course you're
Get
Italian.
out of here.
Get out of here. He says,
Papazul.
I have no Italian. I'm like, that's impossible. I know you're my son. My grandfather came from Italy. He was a year old. 100% you're Italian. Dad, I'm not Italian. I said, well, what are you? He says, I have some Scottish. I've got some Irish. I have some Turkish in me. And I said, that thing's a scam. So my wife says, well, why don't I order you one? She orders the ancestry. I take the test, and she walks into my office about 4 weeks later, and she's got this smirk on her face. And I'm like, what are you smiling about? She goes, well, I got your results. I'm like, yeah? She goes,
Sophie?
Sophie.
Oh, my goodness.
She goes, you're not even 1% Italian. I looked at my wife, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking? Of course I'm Italian.
What?
She's like, you're not Italian, not even 1%. I'm like, so what am I? She says, you're Scottish and Irish and you got some British in you. I said, that's not possible. So we'll fast forward. My wife is now very curious, and she starts building this family tree on ancestry.
Logical, right.
Under the Durbano family tree. And all of my cousins who I grew up with are all coming under this Durbano family side, but I have no DNA match with any of them. But all of my relatives are showing up all throughout the United States. I said, this is something off. I said, I think my mother has some explaining to do.
It's like a one-night stand story or something.
That's exactly what happened.
Wow. All right. She's a player.
So I called my sister. My sister talked to my mother, and it was revealed that in the summer of 1970, my mother traveled to the U.S. to see a band who she had this crush on the singer, which was not my father, it was my uncle. And my father was in the band. He was a bass player. And she hooked up with my father that night.
And he was called Jerry Maguire. This is a real story. He's not making this up.
My father's Jerry Maguire.
What band?
I can't really remember. It was a gospel band, but my uncle is a
gospel band. Boy, those religious people can play.
Oh yeah,
they don't need alcohol and drugs.
My uncle's actually quite famous in Nashville. Is Donnie McGuire. He played with Rambo McGuire.
Wow.
Recorded many albums. So she
had a little fling.
She had one night thing, but at the time she was dating my stepfather at the same time. So she gets pregnant, and they think it's his. And being Italian, that's
a no.
God. you need to get married like right away.
I'm glad they didn't know this then, right? It was,
Right. So this is how this all came out. So when my mother disclosed the name of the person she thought she slept with, my Uncle Donnie, but it turned out that it was my father. So
what a party she had there. Boy, oh boy.
My wife,
1970.
Yeah.
Baby. I mean,
puts in
Woodstock years and all that kind of thing.
It was crazy, yeah. So discovered through Ancestry who my uncle was, and
wait, he was in the system, whatever.
well, his son, my cousin.
I got it.
And there was a connection.
It's always the kids, like I get it.
Yeah. So my wife, being the investigator she is, she found my cousin on Instagram, reached out to him, and they connected, and then put us together. We ended up connecting. I sent an Ancestry kit down to Nashville, and my uncle took it to see if it was him, and he's my uncle, and said, it's my brother, your father, Jerry McGuire, but my father's no longer around with us. But I discovered I have a very beautiful sister who's now my baby sister in Nashville, and we've become very close. And I decided to change my name.
So you were John Durbano
up until
from
last
birth.
year, from birth.
An Italian boy in Toronto or in
Yeah.
Canada. And all of a sudden, you're Scottish, Irish, McGuire, which is, by the way, it's a real, sort of Irish name, a Scottish name. It's a serious. And so you changed your name. And did your son change his name?
My son has not changed his name yet.
Just thinking about it.
I don't want to push the subject, but I decided, my wife made a very good point. She said, "Are you going to change your name?" And I said, "Well, like social media, like my whole career, everyone knows me as John Durbano. My whole social media,
Correct.
my book wasn't out yet. It was just in the process of coming out. And one thing that she said to me, she says, "Why do you want to be someone that you're not?" And that resonated
What a
with me.
pragmatic comment that is, boy.
And I had to sit and think about
Wisdom.
it. I said, "You're absolutely right. I'm not a Durbano. I'm a McGuire."
You were raised and born Durbano.
Yeah.
Your birth certificate says Durbano.
It did, yeah.
There's a lot of things that it's a tough situation, I think.
Yeah.
It must have taken you a minute to digest and process all this stuff.
It did. And I had to consult with I have a brand manager. I consulted with her, and then I had to consult with my marketing guy who was helping me with my book. And he said, "Well, if you're going to do it, you need to do it fast, because your book's going to come out, and once it comes out, we can't change it." So I said, "You know what? I'm gonna honor my father, and I'm gonna change my name to McGuire." And it's been a process of changing everything over, but now everyone on social media, everyone knows me now as John McGuire.
Is your stepfather still alive?
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not.
I hate to say it, but maybe he was spared this kind of pain. This is a lot of pain. He thought you were his son.
I don't think he even knew. Well, sorry, my stepfather. Yes, my stepfather is still alive.
That's what I mean.
My biological father is not.
Right.
No, he's okay with it. He's good with it.
He's good with your mom?
Oh yeah, they're friends. Like they divorced when I was 8 years old, but
I gotcha.
they're still they're in their 70s.
No, I understand.
And they're still friends.
But it's like a whole thing now. Think about all these conversations that have to go on. Now, here's a crazy story for you, just for a fraction of a second. About 4 weeks ago, something like that. It was a Sunday. My daughter and I decided to do 23andMe. And it was a Sunday night because we did the whole thing. And then, of course, and they went to the post office and all that. It was Saturday. Sunday night we did it. Monday, they went to the post office, dropped the thing off, and they declared bankruptcy. They went into bankruptcy that Monday morning.
Yeah.
It was like unbelievable. We did this thing on Sunday night. We paid for it and all that. And but it's still operating in Chapter 11, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've announced what kind of filing yet, if there's a reorg or not. But they now have my saliva. You spit in the tube and all that. So now I was excited to see what's going to come, and now you got me like I might have to hire Sophie to do some background checks. Steffi, you better behave yourself.
Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah, it's been a journey, but it's been a great journey.
Well, your life certainly hasn't been boring.
No, definitely not.
This is like, people look at guys like you, men like me, spending our career in finance, so to speak, a certain way. I know better, but I still didn't expect this today. To me, you're just another Canuck, excuse me,
Yeah.
coming out of Miami to enjoy the weather and the action. And I did not expect to see the guy that's in front of me. And now to hear this story, I was sort of expecting Johnny Durbano.
That guy doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, what the heck? It's not like you found this out, you were like 20. You've lived a whole life. You've raised your own family. You're going to have grandkids if you don't have them already. I mean, this is a whole family thing. And then there's the other side. Now you have all these new sort of relatives you never knew your whole life till you're in your 50s. Yeah. And all these people that you thought were your family, they are family still in an odd way.
They're family,
They're
yeah.
just not DNA blood family.
Yeah, but what's really great about this is my sister. She was an only child, and so she was 13 when our father passed away. So she grew up her whole life thinking she had no brothers, no siblings.
Unbelievable.
And to find out that now she has this older brother, we've just become so close. We talk a couple times a week. I go down to Nashville to see
lovely.
her. It's been such like a gift for her and for me too. I've got 3 sisters from my stepfather,
Right.
but now I have a 4th sister, which has been great.
Unbelievable.
And sharing it's answered a lot of questions that I've always had for many years of how I became this person. And what's interesting is my father, you'll never guess what business my father was in.
Which father?
My biological father.
Okay, I don't know. He was in a band.
Yeah, but then he stopped playing in a band. He wanted to settle down. He didn't want to travel anymore. He got into the insurance business. So he was an advisor in the insurance
financial
business.
Guy.
Yeah, for many years.
It explains a lot, right?
It's
Let me ask you a
crazy.
question. Growing up in your sort of step family, did you look different? Like, do you have a different? Did you notice at some point you're not genetically attached to some of these people?
Yeah, just as I was getting older, I realized that my stepfather and myself, we are nothing alike. I don't look like him. We're just very opposite people, and I would make sometimes off the cuff jokes. I've got to be the milkman's son.
Something like that.
And it turned out that I wasn't the milkman's son, but
Well,
he
a rock
wasn't my
star
dad.
son.
Yeah. But it turned out that he wasn't my dad, and now it answers many, many questions.
Did your biological father ever know any of this? Or was he?
He never knew.
He never even knew he had a son.
He never even knew. He didn't even know.
Wow.
Yeah, my mother didn't know, so it came as a shock to her.
I
too.
can imagine.
Yeah, because she thought that my stepfather was the father. But my mother for a while, she was very sad. She felt like she ruined my life, and I said, "You didn't ruin my life. You gave me life." What you actually did was you gave a gift to another person, my sister Kendra, that she grew up her whole life thinking she had no siblings.
Kendra McGuire.
I
gotcha.
And now that we've met. I've just brought this whole different world because I look like my father, I act like my father. We have a lot of similarities, and it's just really nice
Now
learning.
you've seen the pictures and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, what? But let me say this to you, and this is praise for you, and I want the audience to understand this. What you went through as a 53-year-old, really, and Sophie and the family, etc. You could have reacted very differently.
Yeah.
You could have said, yes, Mom, you ruined my life. Never met my dad. This guy's not my real father. He did he was a nice guy, and I appreciate everything he's done for me. And I wish I was Italian. But you didn't take that tack. You sat here, and this is the kind of man you are. I always say there's 2 sides to a coin. There's plus and minus, yin and yang, good and bad, etc. Your nature and why you're successful in life is because of the way you naturally reacted to news that was disturbing, to some extent, shocking. I don't care who's watching this. This is shocking stuff. Mm-hmm. But the the glass is full. It's half full. It's not half empty. You got a sister. You still have this other family that you were close to your whole life. So you're not Italian. Guess what? You know so much about being Italian. You really are sort of Italian.
It's still here.
Exactly.
It's still here.
I married an Italian girl, just so you know, so I relate to a lot of this. I love the Italian people and the culture and everything else. My kids are half Italian. Otherwise, we got big problems.
But you're right. I could have, and this is the one thing that my sister was afraid of, I could have rejected her and saying, hey, I'm in my 50s. I've got my life. Okay, so I found out who my dad is. Great. I got my life here in Canada, in Toronto. I've got my things. Good for you. But that's not the route I took. And she was quite afraid that could have happened. And sometimes that does happen. When you discover through ancestry, you actually maybe build resentment. I didn't build resentment. I had a very open mind, and it just answered so many. And I wanted to get to know, where really did I come from? You know?
Your mother's reaction was a mother's human reaction.
Yeah.
Did I ruin your life?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you gave me life. You just said this on the camera. And I was taken, I'm taking everything in here. I'm absorbing information. And, you know, your natural reaction, I'm sure you didn't sit and give it a great thought, you know, I didn't get depressed, I'm not this, I'm not that, who's this guy, I can't, you know, you focus on the positives. And it's sort of a natural reaction. It was and this is just like off the cuff. I know you've told this story a zillion times, I guess. I'm not sure on camera if you've done that. But the point is, your natural reaction is optimistic, is positive, is look at this, not like you ruined my life. Because I would tell you more than half the world, more like 90% of the world, would have been dismayed, disturbed, rejecting, resenting, literally.
Yeah.
But look at your natural reaction. That's what, in my mind, defines success. You know, one of the great definitions I've seen of success is being able to move from failure to failure with no loss in enthusiasm.
I could have looked at this whole situation. You know, my stepfather walked out when I was 8 years old. So I never really had a father figure growing up, you know, seeing him throughout my early years.
Right.
But I left home at 17. I pretty much raised myself.
I left home at 17 and raised myself. It's very interesting, our similarities. It's crazy.
And, you know, you can use your life as a stepping stone to become a better version of yourself and say, I'm not going to follow this path. I'm going to use this as motivation so that I don't turn out this way. Or you can play the victim and say,
right,
I am this way because of my family.
There's your excuse right away. You got a great excuse. You see that, Sophie? That's why I'm a zero, because I didn't even have a father and I didn't know. And blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You look at it the other way. You spun it to your favor.
Yeah, and you know, Sophie brought this to my attention. She said, you know, maybe the universe, it was meant to be this way, because maybe if you did get to know your real biological father, who is very successful, you may have been spoiled because he spoiled my sister. And maybe you were spoiled and you would not be the man you are today. But because you grew up in hard times and you never had a role model and you use that as a motivation, this is why you are a success today and you are who you are, because you didn't allow yourself to play the victim role and to be spoiled. You had to earn everything that you have today.
100%, I say 100%, not 99.
Yeah.
100%, you would not be the guy you are today.
No, I wouldn't.
You would not. The only reason you are the guy you are today is because of every single domino that was in place. Yeah. You know, and what you do with this information is a testament to who you are. I believe a lot of this is in our DNA. Mm-hmm. And it's a crazy expression, right? It literally, in your case, is in your DNA.
It is.
Literally.
Yeah.
And DNA has revealed a lot about you. And, you know, I'm a God guy. I don't bring it up a lot, but I believe this is God's plan for you and what's next in your life, the road, the things that you're going to accomplish, the lives that you're going to affect, the people you're going to serve, you know, the love and blessings you're going to bring to your family, etc., is because of who you are. But I think a lot of it is in our DNA. I really do. You were gifted with the ability to look at things positively, optimistically. I notice there's a lot of negative people in the world. It's unreal. So I'm a financial guy, and now I'm an influencer and a podcaster. People are like, what are you doing? Just do stock market stuff. Just trade your own account, buy a yacht, go around the world. Why are you doing this and grinding and all these different things? And I'm like, sometimes I question. I'm by myself. I had a lot of time to think inside. And I was like, no, it's just not my DNA.
Yeah.
I'm rewriting my story. This is a legacy for me, what I'm doing now. I want the years I was wrongfully prosecuted, wrongfully incarcerated, all that nonsense, just like the President of the United States today. That's a whole other topic for Canadians. Yeah. But I'm just saying that he was convicted already of 32 counts and is charged with another 60 counts of felonies. It shows you the bullshit that goes on with the law in America, what's become of America. How they utilize law, the DOJ, et cetera, to hurt people. Yeah. And that's what happened to me. But for your story, I love it now. I know you're Canadian. A lot of things happening. Is Canada going to be the 51st state? Are you going to become an American? I mean, what's the plan?
Well, here's a really great twist of all of this. So for the last couple of years, I was investigating getting an E2 visa to move down into Florida and start a business and create a wealth management office down here. After discovering that my father's American, I'm actually entitled to citizenship. So I'm actually in the process of waiting on my U.S. citizenship. Not a visa, citizenship.
Talk about blessings, correct.
Right? So I believe,
Will they accept that as proof, this DNA?
Yeah. So my sister and I, we went and we did a paternity, which was a request from the U.S. Immigration.
Yes.
We did a paternity actually right around the U.S. Thanksgiving in November in Nashville. And 100%, it's my sister. This is our father. So followed up with them, and they said,
"Does she have any kids?"
Yeah, I have a nephew.
That's what I was going to say. You have a nephew.
I have a nephew, and
blessings.
What's great is my nephew and my son are a year apart, and they get along great. So they go online. Kids do. They go online. They play games with each other online, and my son, when we come down to Nashville, they're always together playing games, and they enjoy each other's company. So
it's a beautiful story, John. What a treat for me today. I thought I was going to talk to some slightly boring. Bay
Street
guy, and here we are talking about like mutual funds and trusts, and I'm like, look at this. Yeah. What a great surprise. Thank you for this today.
I think everybody has a purpose. This was, I don't follow any organized religion. I believe in the universe. I'm more of a humanist.
I understand.
And I believe that the universe has a purpose for us. And
for each one of us. I agree.
And this was the plan. This was what was supposed to happen this way. And I believe my purpose in life is to help people. That's something my father did. My father helped people.
You said he was in a gospel band.
He was in a gospel band. He was a Christian man, and his belief was to go out and help people with their finances. And create legacy for their families. And it's funny, I never got to meet my father, but this is what I've been doing for 26 years now.
It's beautiful, and you're extremely educated, as indicated. Wealth without Wall Street, I get a twist there, without Bay Street.
Yeah.
Right? Think about that, because you're an American now.
I am American. My father's American.
So you're married an American guy, huh? Are you okay with that? Because I sense you're a little French Canadian. Is that fair to say?
Actually, she's Italian-Romanian.
Italian-Romanian? Okay, Sophie, yes, Romanian. Yes, I know some people. I have some Romanian friends now. It's a new thing. A lot of Italian family and friends.
Oh, yeah.
Half my family's from Italy. Although, we're doing this test stuff, better come up, my kids are half Italian. I mean, we got big problems. Yes. I have suspicions, but wealth without Wall Street, financial freedom. He's an advisor. He's a stud. He's well put together. He makes sense. He's an entrepreneur. I mean, John, you check a lot of different boxes. Is there anything you want the audience to know about you that we haven't covered?
No, I mean, you know what? I'm pretty much an open book. If they follow my social media,
How do we find you on social media?
it's my Instagram is john.w.mcguire.
John.w.
McGuire.
McGuire. Spell McGuire because there's a million different spellings.
Yeah,
I've
it's McGuire.
MCG. No Q.
Yeah.
You're a difficult character. That's
Yeah.
a difficult McGuire.
Yeah.
I never saw McGuire without a Q.
Yeah.
Never. I've never
Really?
seen
With
that.
a Q? No, it's MCG. Yeah, McGuire. And then you
McGuire.
could also spell it MAG.
That's what I'm seeing.
McGuire.
Or MAQUI.
Well, if you go back to actually back in the old days in Scotland,
Yes.
it was Mugadir.
I love it.
Yeah.
They found, my Scottish family over there, my friends, they say to me that I'm from a tribe, and they got me my colors and a kilt, and all these
Okay.
I used to advise like half of Glasgow.
Wow. My golfing buddies, now that they've discovered
Andrews.
now that and I golf with mostly Italians, we were right.
You're like the odd guy now.
Yeah, I'm the odd guy. They're like, well, what do we get for your birthday now? A kilt?
Exactly.
So
Some haggis.
yeah, my son
Good
goes
luck.
to
I had it. It's actually not bad. I had it in Glasgow. They maybe eat it, these guys.
haggis. Yeah, I've never had it, and my son goes to an all boys school, and it's a Scottish theme where they wear kilts there, and they do one day where they have the haggis, and I asked my son if he tried it. He goes, Dad, you couldn't pay me to try it.
It's a little gamey.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I had it in a really nice restaurant in Scotland. They forced me to do it. And it wasn't bad. I think it's the kind of thing you could develop a taste for.
Yeah.
Like I introduced caviar, beluga caviar to my kids, my daughters. Dad, ooh, spit it out. And it's not tasting delicious, right?
Yeah.
And you think of some of the great foods like pate. These things you develop a taste for.
Yeah.
But I would tell you that I have developed a taste for these kind of things. Haggis, not so much.
Yeah.
And then when I had it, I was a big meat eater. It was like stewy and all these kind of things. But the Scots are fierce people. They're loyal, they're fierce, they're determined. And I see that in you now a little bit. I do.
Yeah.
Don't show up in a kilt next time.
No.
A Versace kilt.
No, won't be doing that.
I love it. But last thing I want to just ask you is, John McGuire, what am I going to see now we're friends, what am I going to see in 5 years? What's the plan?
The plan is to move down here to South Florida and open up a wealth management office.
I love it.
And create value for people here. Build legacy, not just money.
I love it. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I think people really need some help. There's so much misinformation out there, and people are being misguided by banks and financial institutions, and they actually need a different direction. They need to learn the truth of how to really create wealth.
Tell us the 5 rules of money real quick before we go. I forgot to touch on that. I was so fascinated with your story.
Yeah.
The 5 rules of money.
The 5 rules of money, I talk about that in my book. Number one, the first rule is you need to save at least 10% of your paycheck.
Every paycheck.
Every paycheck. You need to save
discipline.
minimum of
Right.
10%. My recommendation is to save 15 to 20% of your paycheck and learn to live on 80%. So I have what's called the 50-30-20 rule, right? 50% of your check should go to your fixed expenses. Okay, your rent, mortgage, car payments, minimum debt payments, things like that, utilities. And then 30% is your lifestyle. Your clothing, your entertainment, your dining out. And 20%, that is savings and investments. If you can learn to live on the 80%, pay yourself first the 20, learn to live on the 80, you'll never go broke. That's the first rule. The second rule is those who don't respect money don't have the money.
Exactly true.
You need to understand how the game is played.
The value of money.
If you don't respect it, and I'm not talking about hugging it and kissing it. I'm talking about
I've done that though.
yeah, stacks of
Made
hundreds.
love to money.
Yes, but you have to respect the money. And if you don't respect it, it's not going to stay with you.
It's right through you.
Right?
Yeah.
And how you treat yourself is a very good example of how you respect money. Number 3, the next rule is you got to get your money working for you. money, the game of money is all about how many times can I double my money? The rule of 72.
I love it.
Right?
Yep.
And you got to get your money working for you. Don't be a slave for your money. Have your money be a slave to you. Get your money working for you.
Everybody makes money when they're working. The goal is to make money when you're sleeping.
Right? Passive income, right? Everybody's out there trading time for money. Right? But what you're doing is when you buy stupid stuff,
right,
what you're doing is you're giving away a piece of your life.
No question.
For that, because you traded your time for money.
Correct.
Right? So you need to get your money working for you through passive income. Love passive income. Number 4 is don't invest things that you don't understand. Perfect rule, how I lost $150,000.
That was a great lesson, though.
At 28 years old.
Right.
If Warren Buffett, he does not invest in anything that he just doesn't understand.
He's an expert in it.
He's an expert.
Exactly.
I don't understand it. He says he's got 2 piles. What he understands, what he's going to invest in, and things that he doesn't understand, he does not invest in.
Right.
So only invest in things that you understand. And number 5, don't give your money away to tricksters and scammers. Stay away from Ponzi schemes. Stay away from, people trying to promote those emails on cryptocurrency.
Trading futures on options on tertiary cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, stay away from DM messages of someone trying to sell you something. You know
Nonsense.
what? Understand that there's always going to be out there someone trying to make a quick buck. So don't give your money away to tricksters and scammers. Those would be my 5 rules of money.
5 rules of money. Wealth without Wall Street. My new brother.
Thank you, Ross.
John Durbano McGuire.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ross. Thanks for having me.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Wealth without Wall Street, everybody.